everyone, welcome to Team Jesus PH Book Study Series, and we are currently studying the Book of Revelation. Pinag-aaralan natin chapter by chapter. And just a few reminders, we are just going to have a short and basic study of this book. I also suggest na basahin niyo yung chapter sa Bible niyo mismo bago niyo to panoorin or while you are watching this video. And also, don't forget to pray with a humble heart as we study together. So here in verses 1 to 3 ng Revelation chapter 20. So dito, pinapakita pa rin sa atin ni John, sinusulat pa rin niya, dinedescribe pa rin niya yung vision niya. And in verses 1 to 3, nakita naman ni John na may angel na bumaba mula sa langit. At kinulong daw nitong angel na ito yung dragon or si Satan sa loob ng bottomless pit. At pakakawalan daw si Satan after 1,000 years. So, bakit 1,000 years? Dahil magkakaroon ng millennial or 1,000-year reign si Jesus at kailangan alisin si Satan sa picture. Kailangan mo na siyang alisin. Mamumuno si Jesus as leader and king on earth at hindi makakakilo si Satan at this time. And this is necessary because there will be no 1,000 years of peace and righteousness kung pakalat-kalat pa rin si Satanas. And this also shows us that Jesus truly has control over Satan. Pwede niyang gamitin ang wickedness ni Satan for his good purposes. Kontrolado niya pa rin si Satan from the very beginning hanggang ngayon, hanggang sa mga susunod na darating na panahon forever. Jesus is in control of Satan. Satan is not powerful. No match siya kay Jesus. And here in verse 4, ito ang tinatawag na millennial reign ni Jesus. So dito simula sa verse 4. And this is also called the Millennium. Ito yung time na maghahari si Jesus dito sa mundo. Take note na hindi pa nagugunaw completely ang earth at this time. After the 7-year tribulation period, kasunod naman ang 1,000-year millennial reign ni Jesus, here also on earth. At pagkatapos ng judgments of the 7 seals and the 7 bowls, King Jesus will come to reign on earth for 1,000 years. And the millennium actually, it requires a deeper study kasi maraming mga questions about it, like sino ba yung mga tao dito, ano exactly ang mangyayari habang nasa millennium or millennial reign ni Jesus. But we cannot study it completely here for now kasi masyado siyang malawak o mahaba. But for the sake of those who are curious, pag-aralan natin ng konti, basic lang, let's answer some common questions about the millennium. So ano ba ang purpose ng millennium? What is the purpose of the millennium? Ba't kailangan mag-reign pa si Jesus ng 1,000 years? So, the millennial reign of Jesus, ito yung fulfillment ng salita niya that He will reign on earth. And this is what's mentioned in Matthew chapter 24, verses 29 to 30, na this is the coming kingdom where Jesus will reign both spiritually and physically. Pero take note na hindi po ito yung new heavens and new earth. It's the same earth that we are living in right now. And then, another question na common dito, ano ba ang difference ng tribulation period sa millennium? Kasi magkaiba. Ang tribulation period, 7 years siya, yung millennium, kasunod siya ng tribulation period na 1,000 years. So, maraming differences, but just to name a few, sa 7-year tribulation, ang namumuno dun sa mundo ang Antichrist. Pero sa 1,000-year or millennial reign, si Jesus ang kikilalanin ng lahat bilang hari. And then sa tribulation period, maraming gera, kaguluhan, pero sa millennium, there will be peace at walang mga gera. Take note na meron pa rin masasamang tao at this time. Hindi naman completely, perfectly sinless pa ang mundo, ang mga tao. Pero pamumunuan ni Jesus ang lahat ng tao sa mundo ng maayos. No? Righteousness and justice ang mananaig at this time. And then another common question about the millennium, ano bang condition talaga ng mundo? What's the condition of earth during the millennium? So, ngayon, di ba, ang gulo-gulo ng mundo natin, walang perfect government, may mga gera, talagang walang peace. Pero, we all want to imagine or experience a world where justice always prevails. Di ba? Kaya nga sa politics, talagang yung iba very interested sila at active na active sila kasi yun yung gusto nila, that justice would always prevail. Patas yung pamumuno, goodness yung mangingibabaw, maging safe lahat ng mga tao. But you know what? Mangyayari lang to lahat sa millennium. world peace is impossible right now na merong mga tao na makasalanan na namumuno. Pero a world where justice will always prevail, that there is goodness, righteousness, yun ang mangyayari sa millennium. So can you imagine a world na ang mga rulers, like leaders and politicians, they are saints, no? Faithful Christians. Can you imagine a world na iisa lang ang leader at si Jesus Christ ang leader na yun? That's what will happen in the millennium. It will be a special time para sa Israelites, again, the chosen nation of God, because at this time, Israel will be restored to their land. Sila rin ang magiging leading nation at that time. Makukuha nila ang promised land na pinangako ni Jesus kay Abraham. Jerusalem will be rebuilt. Christ will sit on the throne of David in Jerusalem, and Jesus will reign on earth righteously. So the curse on the earth also, it will be lifted. No? Yung mga nangyari dahil sa 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowl judgments, they will all be lifted at magiging mas maayos at masagana ang earth sa oras na to. And one last question about the millennium, may kasalanan pa ba during this time? Well, the answer is yes. Just because nakakulong si Satan during this time, it doesn't mean na wala ng kasalanan ng mga tao. But take note that sin is not dependent kay Satan. 'Di ba? Hindi fault ni Satan kapag nagkakasala tayo eh. Sin is man's decision. Nanunukso si Satanas pero tayo pa rin ang pumipili. Sin is the reflection of man's fallenness. Pero ang wala lang naman during the millennium is false religion. So magiging malinaw sa lahat at that time na si Jesus ang hari at si Jesus ang dapat sambahin. But still, sadly, man's sinfulness is still present in this kingdom. No? Mahalaga na maisip natin yun, tandaan natin yun, na this time, the millennium, it's not yet the new heavens and new earth kung saan everything is perfect. So, yun lang muna tungkol sa millennium. Let's go back sa chapter study natin. So, sa verse 4, again, na-mention nga ang millennium. And then, what happens next? In verses 5 to 6, may binanggit dito na first resurrection. Ang makakaranas daw ng first resurrection ay ang mga ligtas lang. Ang second resurrection naman, it also pertains sa mga makakaranas ng second death, which is eternal punishment. So in short, ang makakaranas ng tinatawag na first resurrection ay ang mga ligtas. So blessed daw yung mga mapapasama sa first resurrection. And then here in verses 7 to 10, so natapos na yung 1,000 years. Natapos na at pinakawalan si Satan for a short time. So, pagkatapos ng 1,000 taon, 'di ba si Satan at that time nakakulong siya sa bottomless pit. Pakakawalan muna si Satan. So once again, makakapag-gather siya ng army niya. Remember, meron pa ring sinful people even in the millennium. Pero this time, tinalo ni Jesus si Satan completely sa tinatawag na Battle of Gog and Magog. So bakit ito tinawag na Gog and Magog? Actually, Gog and Magog were first mentioned sa book of Ezekiel, and they were prophetic enemies ng Israelites sa Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39. Pero dito sa Revelation, John seems to borrow the term at gamitin ito as a symbol of enemies. So John applied the same names dito sa evil armies or enemies that will join Satan. So ang millennial reign na timeline, una, Satan is bound for 1,000 years, and then saints will rule with Christ for 1,000 years. So yung mga saved at that time, they will rule with Jesus. Tayo yun. And then the earth will be filled with peace and joy for 1,000 years. Pero pagkatapos ng 1,000 taon, Satan is released to deceive the nations. But then, after that, Satan will be finally destroyed. So in verses 11 onwards, ito yung tinatawag naman na Great White Throne Judgment. So dito na tayo sa verse 11. And take note that this judgment is only for unbelievers. Again, it's important to note that believers or Christians are not included sa Great White Throne Judgment. Tayo, if we are professing that we are faithful Christians, we are saved, then hindi tayo mapapabilang dyan sa Great White Throne Judgment dahil para lang yan sa mga paparusahan ng Panginoon at itatapon sa lake of fire. So, in verses 12 to 15, ito na, haharap daw ang lahat sa trono ng Diyos. And this is Jesus. Jesus is our great judge. John 5:22 tells us that the Father judgeth no man and has given all the judgment to the Son. At haharap ang lahat kay Jesus ng mga unbelievers para hatulan na sila according to their works. And this doesn't mean that we are saved by works, Pero ang works natin, ito yung proof na totoo ang naging faith natin in the first place, 'di ba? So take note also na hindi ito trial sa korte. Itong Great White Throne Judgment, hindi siya parang sa korte kasi wala nang chance ang mga tao to defend themselves dahil may paghatol na magaganap. Kasi 'di ba ngayon sa court may chance pa ang tao, may witness, pwede pa nila i-defend ang sarili nila. But here sa Great White Throne Judgment, wala na. Also here in verse 12, merong binanggit na Book of Life. And this is God's book na merong pangalan ng mga ligtas. Verse 15 tells us na lahat ng pangalan na wala raw sa libro na to were casted into the lake of fire, which is also the second death. So, summary in this chapter, nalaman natin na may millennium. May millennial reign si Jesus na magaganap. And also, we covered in this chapter the Great White Throne Judgment na nakakatakot talaga. So, let's do our best right now to be assured of our salvation. Talagang totohanin natin si Jesus sa buhay natin. And also, let's share the gospel para matulungan din natin ang iba na wag nilang maranasan ang Great White Throne Judgment. So I hope and pray that we have learned a lot from this video. 2 more chapters to go. Grabe, matatapos na po tayo. And let me tell you in advance that the next 2 chapters, itong last 2 chapters in the Bible, is the best ending ever. So, I hope to see you tomorrow as we study Revelation chapter 21 at halos matatapos na po tayo sa Book of Revelation. Thank you for staying with me and I hope to see you in the next video.